Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Kicking things off, Michigan is currently on the alert for severe weather. A conditional threat for severe weather exists from this afternoon into early tonight, with the highest confidence for storms occurring between 5 p.m. and midnight. The primary threats include damaging winds and flooding, along with the potential for a tornado or two, while large hail remains a secondary concern. Residents should stay weather aware and be prepared to take action if necessary. It's crucial to have multiple ways to receive warning information, such as weather apps, alerts, or local news updates. Taking early precautions can help minimize risks and ensure safety as the severe weather threat develops. And with harsh weather on the horizon, it's important to make sure your homes are properly taken care of and will be safe from any potential damage. One of the big sources of damage may be from fallen trees. Yesterday, I had the chance to speak with Dave Sheridan of Ascension Tree Care while he was out on a job right here in West Bloomfield, and he told me some important information on what people should do to keep their trees up to code and how they can stay safe from these major storms.
Yeah, so I'd say the first thing is try to be proactive, get your trees trimmed regularly, make sure the dead wood is removed from them. But then when it comes to when the storm actually hits, the main thing is just stay safe, shelter in place. Don't, when the winds are blowing, don't stand near windows. And then after the storm goes past, the important thing is to really assess the situation. Do not approach a downed tree or a structurally compromised tree. Have a professional assess it. If there's any downed wires, do not go anywhere near it. Again, call a professional, have them assess it and mitigate the hazard.
Watch those hazards as closely as you can. But of course, there's so much potential for disaster with unkept trees. So I asked Dave Sheridan what are some of the biggest things to keep in mind that he sees when tending to the trees himself.
When it comes to tree health, it's the soil is the most important part, the soil and the root system. So making sure that, if you're adding on an addition or building a deck, and bringing heavy equipment in, you want to make sure you mark out where the root zone is. That's the biggest area of structural failure that we see is root issues. And a lot of those are caused by soil compaction of heavy equipment driving on the root zone and, or severing the root zone if you're digging things up.
This information is most beneficial to people who live near a large abundance of trees. And Dave provided a bit more information on how those residents in the community can stay safe.
We're living in we're cutting down trees and building houses in old former forests, and so anytime you live near a tree, you're assuming some risk of some sort. But there's also a lot of benefits to having trees. So really, I guess the only advice I could have is get a certified arborist out there, get them to assess the risk of that tree. And, because there's tons of positives to having trees around. They lower your heating and cooling costs. Homes are valued more with mature trees. But if they're not properly taken care of, they can obviously cause damage. So it's a balance.
If anybody is concerned about their trees and keeping them safe, call Dave. Anyone at Ascension Tree Care or other arborists in the area to take a look at the trees and make sure everything is safe. And if you're looking for more info on proper tree care, head to www.ascensiontreecare.com to learn more. Plenty of other safety concerns on the horizon throughout Greater West Bloomfield, and the West Bloomfield Fire Department is doing everything they can to get the community informed and to keep everybody safe. Here with some more information on what we can be on the lookout for is West Bloomfield Fire Marshal Byron Turnquist. Byron, good morning.
Good morning. How are you on this soggy spring day?
I'm hanging in there just as everybody else is, and that's exactly what we're here to talk about, making sure that everybody is safe and prepared for when these storms eventually make their way right here to Michigan. So what are the biggest safety concerns for Michigan residents during the upcoming thunderstorms?
Well, what usually gets associated with the thunderstorms and spring weather is down power lines and losing power. Very important if there's a down power line in your neighborhood, or even more importantly, closer to your house. Stay inside. Don't venture into the area where that line is down. And keep in mind that anything that power line might be in contact with is going to be energized. We always treat power lines as being energized until DTE can come out and make them safe. So you want to be very cautious whenever you're moving around the area. If there's play structures in your backyard, sheds, fences, anything that power line might be in contact with, don't touch because it's probably energized.
That's absolutely right. Live wires can be a very, very dangerous thing. It's important that everybody stays away from them if they happen to see one. What precautions should people take ahead of severe weather to try and stay safe?
It's great while everybody's got power. Try to keep your cell phones and your iPads and those devices completely charged. If you've got the backup batteries that you can charge devices off of, it's a good idea to make sure that those are fully charged. If you've got a generator at home, make sure that you have gasoline and you're prepared to use the generator if you require it. And then if you put a generator into action, we always advise people to make sure that the generator is used outside of your home. That includes the garage. Get it outside, away from your house. Keep it away from any doors or windows, or even the intakes for your furnace, those types of things. So when that generator is running, you don't want to have the risk of CO entering your home. Keep it away from combustibles. And then when it does run out of fuel or when it's getting low, shut it down. I know it's inconvenient, but shut it down. Let it cool before you try to pour gasoline in it. The last thing we want is to spill a little gasoline on a hot exhaust pipe and have an ignition.
That's absolutely right. And I think with a storm like this, I would be very surprised to see if we see a lot of residents who don't lose power. I fully expect to see a lot of power outages around the West Bloomfield area and beyond. And of course, there's also the risk for other big things with this storm. It might just go beyond cloudy skies and thunder and lightning. There could be things that turn into a tornado in the area. So what are some key signs that a thunderstorm could turn severe or possibly produce a tornado?
Well, we used to always recommend to have a weather radio available to you, and that's still a great thing to have in your home that will alert anytime that there's a severe weather announcement. This day and age with the technology, your phones tend to go off when there's a tornado warning. You can get the weather apps and set those to alert you when there's changes to the weather in the area that you're in. And it's good to monitor and pay attention and keep an eye on what's going on, and don't get overcommitted and stuck out in the weather if you can avoid it.
That's right, and my phone certainly goes off whenever there is a giant thunderstorm like what we might be expecting tonight. So there's definitely going to be ways for everyone to stay up to date and informed. For those just joining us right now in the Splash, we have West Bloomfield Fire Marshal Byron Turnquist joining us to talk about what people can do, what local residents can do to prepare themselves for the impending thunderstorms that are going to be making their way to Michigan later on today. What steps should people take if they find themselves outside or on the road during severe weather?
Try to get home or into a building, that's going to provide you shelter. You'd want to stay away from a tree or those types of things. Do your best to get home or into a larger building that's going to provide you cover. When you're in your home or another building and a tornado is coming or the straight line winds, you want to make sure you stay away from any windows. We always recommend to get at to the lowest level of your home. Most of the homes around here, that would be a basement, and that's going to provide that shelter and get you away from glass that may break and cause other issues as that storm rolls through. Hopefully, we don't have to encounter that. They were predicting some heavy storms coming through on Sunday, and when that happened, they kind of fizzled out. So we always hope for the best, but it's great to be prepared.
Absolutely. You always want to be prepared. You don't want to be in this situation and not be prepared at all. And what are some common mistakes that people tend to make when preparing for or reacting to severe storms, would you say?
One thing we hate to see is candles, to be honest. Again, going back to your cell phones and making sure those devices are charged, make sure that you have some flashlights available. If they're rechargeable batteries, make sure they're ready. Candles do provide light, but they also create a hazard. So anytime you're using a candle in your home, you want to make sure that it's in a glass container and it's got a solid base to it so it doesn't easily get knocked over or fall over. And you want to keep it away from combustibles. And then more importantly, if you leave the room, put the candle out or make sure that you take it with you. Try to avoid using candles at all costs. The flashlights that you can get today that are relatively inexpensive provide a heck of a lot more light than candles do, and you can take that with you and light up a room a lot better than a candle.
That's absolutely right. And I'm glad you just talked about flashlights, because that's definitely going to be one of the things that everybody has on hand tonight, as well as possibly a full emergency preparedness kit. What should people have? What should families have in these emergency kits to prepare themselves for severe weather?
Well, in our area, we're fortunate. DTE does a good job where if we lose power, it's usually for a couple hours. Every now and then, it might be for a day. So you want to be able to make it, have the necessities available to last a day or two and try to live as normal as possible. If you have a well at your house, make sure you have some bottled water that you can drink, cook. If you need to use the restroom facilities, that will help there. So it's a good idea to always have some food and water on hand so that you can survive for a few days in the event that the storm is serious and you can't get to an open grocery store.
That's right. Lots of things you can do to prepare yourselves for these major storms. And Byron, we appreciate all of this information to get the community informed and trying to stay safe from things like this. But of course, there are other things to be on the watch out for right here in West Bloomfield that go beyond thunderstorm risk. One of which that everyone is paying attention to right now is the risk of gas leaks, as there was the recent incident in Detroit of an apartment explosion caused by a gas leak, leaving multiple residents of that building injured. What are the warning signs of a gas leak in the home, and how should residents appropriately respond?
If you smell gas in your house, get out of the house and call 911. We recommend that you get out of the home as quickly and safely as possible. You don't want to turn lights on. You don't want to turn lights or stuff off. You want to leave things the way they were and safely exit the home. We have proper equipment that we can come through and monitor and see the levels, and we can look for the source of the leak and try to mitigate that problem. And then we'll obviously work well with Consumers Energy to have them come out to evaluate exactly what's going on at your home.
All great information. Byron, thank you so much for joining us today on the Splash Live. One more quick question before we let you go. What's some last bit of information and some advice you could offer residents for what to expect tonight?
Stay safe. If you don't have to go out, stay home. Don't push it. And it's also while you're out driving around, if you see a puddle over the road, if you can avoid it, do so. You never know how deep that is. Sometimes people will try to drive through a subdivision road or a side road and not realize just how deep that puddle is, and they get stuck. So if you can avoid driving through puddles that are covering the road, do so. If you have to get through, be careful, go slow, be cautious, because you just don't know what's working beneath that water. So it's best to stay away, find another route home, and just be safe.
The intensity for these storms is said to be picking up around possibly the 5 o'clock hour when people will be on their way homes from work. So that is certainly going to pose some problems for the road, but just everybody stay safe. And that's exactly what we all should be doing. Byron, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
Absolutely. You have a better one. All great information right here in Greater West Bloomfield to keep everybody safe from the impending thunderstorms. Of course, the National Weather Service is working overtime to be tracking these storms and to be keeping everybody safe. And the National Weather Service officers are currently seeking precipitation observers. The National Weather Service is seeking volunteers to observe rain and, during the winter, snow across southeast Michigan. The reports help track precipitation patterns, verify forecasts, and assess flooding potential, which might come in handy for what to expect tonight. I recently spoke with Sarah Schultz, meteorologist with the National Weather Service of Detroit and Pontiac, to find out more. We have a meteorologist with the National Weather Service of Detroit and Pontiac, Sarah Schultz, joining us right now on The Splash. Sarah, good morning.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you. Happy to have you with us. Really interested about this position for people to be getting with the National Weather Service. Can you explain why volunteer precipitation observers are so important to the National Weather Service?
Yes, again, thank you for having me. And
Of course.
we really need precipitation observers. And this program that this is through is called COCORAS, which stands for the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. And they're observers from all ages and backgrounds that measure precipitation for us, not only rain and snow, but hail too. And again, it just allows people to become a part of a community-based science network. And again, that allows for us to help, with forecasts, flooding, drought, and it's not only used by us here at the office, but it's also used by farmers, city utilities, emergency management, engineers, and research too. So it's used across the country, and you can go on to cocoras.org for this. But yes, it's very important, and it helps us, with a lot of things.
Wow, sounds like it makes a really big difference for the National Weather Service. And what kind of training or equipment do volunteers receive to report this precipitation accurately?
Yes. So to join COCORAS, you'll go on the website, and right on the upper right, there's a item where you can click Join COCORAS. There you will sign up with all your information, and all it takes for training is to watch a few videos, which are a lot of fun to watch, and you are ready. One thing I do want to preference is we want to make sure that your rain gauge, because you will also have to buy a rain gauge. So it's a pretty inexpensive rain gauge. I have example of one of the rain gauges right here.
Oh, wow.
So this is our Google rain gauge. Yes. It's got spikes on it, but you can also there's two versions that you can get. So there's two, but you can go and buy a rain gauge. They're about $40 to $60. And once you get that, you can start measuring the precipitation. And again, watch the training videos. And once you get your rain gauge sighted properly, because that's very important, is we don't want people to put them under a tree or right next to a house. So we want to make sure that it is sighted well. But yeah, once you get all that set up, it's real easy, fun training, and you're good to go.
Right. I can imagine if you set something like that under a tree or by a house, there'd be a bigger influx of rain, and that might affect some of the measurements. So, of course, you want it to be as accurate as possible. And are there specific areas in southeastern Michigan that are in a greater need for some of these volunteer observers?
Yeah, there is, especially our less populated areas, especially up in the Thumb area. We really need observers up there. Especially for rainfall and snowfall too. Snowfall, we can only see so much with the radar up there. And so if we have, we need especially those snowfall reports to help us gauge, like, okay, how much is actually coming coming off the lake. Lake effect snow is actually very hard to forecast. So when we get reports, that helps us a lot.
That's right. It is important to keep track of snow right now. Even though spring has officially sprung, snow is still a very big possibility. I saw some snow just yesterday. It's still possible anywhere you see it. So what has been the public response so far in terms of this call to the volunteers?
It has been very good. Right now, the month of March, we are in what we have it titled Rain Gauge Rally. And so it's kind of like a March Madness, but we just encourage people to sign up, get as many volunteers signed up as we can. So yeah, if you can go on and sign up, that would be great.
That's right. We have meteorologist Sarah Schultz joining us right now from the National Weather Service of Detroit and Pontiac, talking about the call for precipitation trackers and observers for the National Weather Services. And have past observations from volunteers, has that led to a significant improvements involving weather forecasting or emergency preparedness?
Oh, yes, it definitely has, and it continues to do so. And the more observers that we can get to measure precipitation, correctly and, accurately, that actually allows, better forecasts, and it allows for a more complete and detailed picture of what's actually going on. Because we all know, living in this state, that it can be snowing at one location and raining a few miles away. So having that bigger picture is essential across the board.
I would imagine so. And I'm curious, are there any challenges that can arise with some of these volunteers in ensuring that volunteer data is consistent and reliable?
The biggest issue that we run into is just, we want to properly train. And so, another one is where the precipitation gauge is. We don't want it on a roof or anything like that. There are certain criteria that you need to be careful of. Again, put it out in an open area and know how to, what you're reading too. Another big concern too that we look at every day, we actually quality control the data that comes in from the observers, and a lot of times, just like common mistakes that are made, are just moving that decimal point over. So instead of raining 0.14 inches, they might have incorrectly put 1.4 inches, which is a huge difference. But we try to catch that at the office when that comes in.
That's right. You gotta stay alert and you gotta watch out for mistakes like that. And the Weather Service, of course, in the news, there have been some recent budget cuts to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which does, of course, include the Weather Service. How does the Weather Service plan to maintain its level of service despite some of these budget cuts that have taken place?
We still continue with the mission here at the office, which is protection of life and property. And Kokoros, we do work with them. They're based out in Colorado, so it's not actually with the Weather Service. But again, all that information comes in and we all use it, and it's all combined. So we all work very closely together. So that will be, continuing.
That's absolutely right. All of that information and all of that teamwork makes a huge difference. Sarah, last question before we let you go. What advice would you give to someone who might be watching this, who's considering to be signing up to become a precipitation observer?
Have fun with it. This isn't, we don't want you to be stressed out about it or anything, but just, have fun with it. Sign up, look at the videos, watch it, and then just be curious about, okay, what is, what's happening, what's snowfall. And it's great to always kind of learn something new. And even if you just have a little interest, in rain and snow, it's a great thing to do. And you don't have to do it every day either. And that's a big thing too. Like, you can go on vacation and then come back and do it. So that's really nice with this program.
It sounds like an incredible program. Can't wait to see what comes from it. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Such a great opportunity with the National Weather Service, and a very topical one, too, given the storms that are going to be making their way to Michigan tonight. And it might inspire some people to help out the National Weather Service in tracking these weather patterns and providing this information all across Michigan. So big thank you to Sarah Schultz for taking the time with us and speaking with us on the Splash Live. Plenty of other great stories and topics to get into right after this commercial break. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from Kego Harbor. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Hey everybody, I'm Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter, and I want to congratulate Civic Center TV on surpassing 1 million views on YouTube. That's a huge milestone, and it's more important than ever in this day and age that we have good, independent, local, reputable journalism. And I want to congratulate Civic Center TV on this important milestone. I'm Dave Coulter, and I'm proud to be one in a million.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. April is National Stress Awareness Month. Every April, mental health professionals aim to increase public awareness about the causes and treatments for stress, as it can lead to a wide range of illnesses and risk serious conditions if untreated. Here to tell us more is marriage and family therapist with the Birmingham Maple Clinic, Carrie Craywick. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Happy to have you with us. Really interested in getting into this topic, a very important topic for a lot of people. Why is Stress Awareness Month very important, and how can it help individuals and families?
Well, absolutely. Like you said, stress, we all encounter so much stress, and in a lot of ways, stress has got a really bad rap. Stress is a part of our life, and being able to deal with stress healthfully, like you said, will affect your physical health, will affect your relationships. So it's so important to have a healthy approach to stress and healthy responses to stress.
That's right. It's a natural part of life. We're all going to be experiencing stress in some way, shape, or form, whether that's with work, whether that's with your personal life, with relationships. Stress is always going to be there. What are some of the most common sources of stress for families today, would you say?
Gosh, I think it ranges. I mean, certainly they're just busy schedules. And I think even too, like maybe a misinterpretation about stress, that actually people who get stressed out about stress actually have much worse reactions to stress. So people who can really sort of embrace stress or recognize that like we're meant to do hard things.
Okay, looks like we have a screen freeze for a moment. Oh, we're all set. Sorry about that. Looks like we had a quick audio glitch or a video glitch, but we're all back. Just continue your answer.
Sure. Sure. So what I was saying, of course, busy schedules, a lot of comparison, social comparison. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing, what we should be doing? Are we doing as much as someone else? Workplace stress certainly demands at work, and the things that people face there, demands at school. There's a lot of pressure because we're exposed to so much information. Also, things in the news that might be hurtful or harmful or upsetting certainly cause some people stress. So like I was saying, though, people often just stress about being stressed. And what we've seen, especially even since the time of the pandemic and working from home, is there's actual like a repulsion to stress, which actually causes people more stress.
Stressing about stress, no part of that sounds enjoyable, but it's common. And it's also common in some of the younger residents of the community, children and teens. How can parents recognize signs of stress in their children?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. Well, you're absolutely right. So being able to turn to your close family for supports, for friends, is actually helps everybody do stress better. So when we're able to turn to our loved ones and say, hey, I'm stressed, and they're able to be supportive to us, it helps both people stress less. It helps release healthy hormones. So it is really important to be noticing whom in our lives is stressed and how can we be supportive to them. One thing, though, is that often someone else's stress might stress us out. So some interesting new information, too, is coming out about how, of course, males and females even biologically respond to stress differently. So whereas a male child or a male adult may look more irritable and more aggressive, that may be their sort of outward display of stress, whereas maybe a female may look more avoidant, more depressed, maybe more internally anxious. That may be their way. And so as a parent, you're going to have to sort of approach your children differently and recognize that the common theme may be stress.
For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have Carrie Krawick with the Birmingham Maple Clinic talking about April being National Stress Awareness Month and what families and residents can be on the lookout for in terms of managing stress. And that's all about what you're trying to do. You are trying to help to manage stress in people. What are some effective coping strategies for managing stress as a family?
Sure. So, certainly, like we were saying, so stress can affect our sort of our physical health. It can affect our mental health, and it can affect our behaviors. So, physical health, one of the things that stress can do, like you said, it can increase sickness, it can increase poor eating, overeating, undereating, oversleeping, undersleeping. So as a family, certainly making sure we have healthy sleep routines, healthy eating routines, healthy exercise routines, time outdoors, and time, even time together and time with physical touch, hugging, holding hands, all of those things serve to reduce stress.
Sounds like a big component in a lot of those things you just said is self-care, which plays a huge role in reducing stress. But I understand that a lot of people, especially busy parents with a lot of things that they have on their plate, it can be hard to make the time for it. So how can busy parents make time for things like self-care?
For their self-care or the care of their children, I think sometimes just as brief as a couple minutes. Some research shows that even like a 90-second meditation or, a 98-second just like breathing exercise can do wonders to reduce your stress internally. From like a parent-child standpoint or a relational standpoint, dedicating like 10 minutes of just time to be present, not necessarily to talk about problems, but just to be with each other, kind of screen-free, demand-free, and just kind of like 10 minutes of just time being together can also reduce stress, improve health, and improve the strength of the relationship, and also improve the trust to be able to reveal those things that cause stress. I think, like you said, sometimes it feels like we don't have the time or we're so tired, and then we're stressed about being tired. We're stressed about being stressed later. We're stressed about being late. All of these things, the demands, they cause us to make bad behavioral choices, like maybe over-reliant on caffeine or nicotine or alcohol or other stuff to just keep us going. But really, kind of limiting our screen use later in the day, limiting caffeine use, limiting alcohol use, all of those things are going to have benefits in our sleep and our physical health that in the long term are also going to reduce our stress and reduce our responses to stress.
All very helpful tips to help keep everybody stress-free and to keep them relaxed. And how can open communication within the family help alleviate stress?
Such an awesome question. So the research shows, like I said, is that when we share our stress, when we share our life with other people, we actually handle stress better. So like the cuddle hormones and the oxytocin, the things we expect, like from mothers and babies early in their life, when in our families and our relationships, we connect and we talk about our hopes and wishes, about our fears and our embarrassments. When we talk about sort of the ins and outs of our life, we actually have better oxygen flow through our body. We actually have better of the healthy hormones through our body. We have a reduction in stress hormones. And it's actually one of the benefits of a therapeutic relationship, that if you don't feel comfortable sharing with people in your personal life, that some of that same effect can be gained in a therapy relationship.
That's right, and I want to touch on that just a little bit, because we can do a lot of things to help reduce stress, but in some cases, stress can become unmanageable for some people. What are some signs that stress is becoming unmanageable, and when would be that moment that someone should seek professional help, would you say?
Sure. So as therapists, we always think about intensity, frequency, and duration. So we are made to have stress. We are made to encounter stress. I always say it's like starting a lawnmower to get you going. A little bit of stress kind of pumps us up, amps us up, and gets us ready to go. And that stress is good stress. So if we have a brief burst of stress and then we sort of get the momentum we need to roll through our life, that's acceptable. So we should have stress and then rest. But if your stress is constant, it's intense, it's interfering with areas of your life, it's interfering with your social relationships, it's interfering with your sleep, it's interfering with your health, and there's not periods of break in between, then that's really a sign that you need more help.
I love that lawnmower analogy. That is so perfect. Once again, Carrie Krawick from the Birmingham Maple Clinic is joining us right here on The Splash to talk about April being Stress Awareness Month. And Carrie, one more quick question before we let you go. Are there any resources or community programs available to help families who are currently dealing with high levels of stress?
Certainly. I mean, there's lots of resources available, for, again, if it comes to, if you need to get outdoors and, you look at your local parks, and there may be even like Tai Chi or, opportunities for meditation. Some are free opportunities, and a lot of the parks and recs are offering things like that, or group hikes, opportunities to be together and outdoors. Certainly, any of the government pages, the National Institute of Mental Health, any suicide awareness hotline pages, those are also going to be able to guide people towards healthy choices, and the things to be able to recognize, to say, hey, what are the signs that I need more help, and then some direction into how to get it.
All great information. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live to talk about this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Very important information, and one of the many things people need to be aware of, especially if you're currently going through a very stressful situation. Some very helpful tips to help alleviate some of that stress and to help you tackle your day properly and effectively. So big thank you to Carrie Krawick for stopping by and for providing that very important information. Civic Center TV's celebration of 40 years of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission and 89.3 Lakes FM is currently underway. All month long, you will be seeing some of your favorite programs from throughout the years replaying on TV and on the radio. West Bloomfield resident and Parks and Recreation Commission chairperson Robert Brooks introduces a moment when some of Detroit's greatest athletes came out to West Bloomfield to support an incredible cause. Let's take a look.
Hello, and welcome to Civic Center TV Classics. I'm West Bloomfield resident and Parks and Recreation Commission chairperson Robert Brooks. I invite you to join in as Civic Center TV celebrates 40 years of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. Greater West Bloomfield is more than just a great place to live. It is also a destination for some of Detroit's biggest stars, as was the case in July of 2013, when Lions legend Charlie Sanders hosted his annual golf outing right here in our community. Emmy Lucas captured the event.
It's time now for Civic Center News. Here's Emmy Lucas.
On beautiful days like this, golf courses like the Knollwood Country Club here in West Bloomfield Township are just waiting for golfers to come and hit the links. And today, former and present professional athletes came out to support the Charlie Sanders Foundation to show that there's more to sports than just the X's and O's. Created in 2007, the Charlie Sanders Foundation began as a scholarship fund for prep athletes. But after the sudden passing of some Michigan high schoolers, Sanders decided it was time to shift the focus of his foundation.
It was more in recognition or awareness of Finnville incident with the kid making the layup and having a heart attack and dropping dead. And there was something that wasn't right about that. Most natural thing, I think, for student athletes, and I'm talking kids 12 to 18 years old, the most natural thing for them to do is to play. And it's kind of unfair that majority of them that are playing may not be aware that they're healthy enough to play.
And now he uses his status to attract other well-known sports figures to join in his fight.
To be honest with you, the first time I came, it was probably 50% the cause and 50% Charlie Sanders. You know, I idolized him growing up, watching him play, and boy, everything I thought happened. He's a class guy, and he's going to do a heck of a job with this.
And for the second straight year, the Knollwood Country Club played host to the Charlie Sanders Have a Heart, Save a Life golf outing. And although some players have been separated by years of retirement, they can still count on each other to back them up.
We roomed together our last years in the league with the Detroit Lions. We played in quite a few Pro Bowls together, and we've been knowing each other for the better part of 45 years now. So anytime any of my teammates and former teammates particularly have something that's going on that's worthy to the community and for the overall cause of helping to rid a lot of things that are going on, I'm more than willing to participate.
When you've been blessed with, with opportunities and you can help out, I mean, you want to do that. And once again, just with the friendship and the length of the friendship and the things that Charlie's involved in, I didn't second guess this at all.
And while some answered the calling of a friend, others had different motivations to support the effort.
Not a lot of people know this. One of my close teammates when I was in high school died of a heart disease, and it was something that his family and his mother especially wanted defibrillators in every single high school, and I thought that was very important.
And on a day that was meant to bring awareness to a serious cause, it seemed everyone managed to have a little fun too. You feel a little ganged up playing with all these Lions?
Yeah, I do. But I like these football guys, so this is going to be fun too, and maybe we can have some kind of challenge. I wish my game was better, but I'm gonna survive, play with them, see what happens.
You have guys that show up with holes in their pockets and drop balls and things like that. So I know for a fact that Fox and Riley Reef, two linemen that probably can't play at all, they already have a standing bet as to who's going to have the best score out here today.
Right in the middle of the fairway. Got that? He broke the club.
I think you could be a spokesman for Ping now, right?
But after a long day of golf and a little bit of silliness,
Too many cameras.
the message Sanders intended to send was not lost.
The history and the studies that are being brought out have basically found that there's one student athlete that dies every 3 days from a heart attack. The awareness of how serious the problem is and the awareness to the parents that just because you gave your son or your daughter a physical doesn't mean that they have a healthy heart.
This has been a Civic Center TV news update. Stay in touch with your community with Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The celebration of 40 years of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission continues online. Follow along on social media and enjoy television that's close to home online on civiccentertv.com. I'm Robert Brooks. Thank you for tuning in.
Such a great trip down memory lane. Crazy to see Lions legend Ndamukong Suh on the Splash Live. It really shows how far this program reaches. Stay tuned for more of these special moments all day, every day, right here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Greater West Bloomfield's very own community radio station and your radio home for the Splash Live. Art Sale is currently looking for artists and vendors for this summer. It is free to participate, and with dates for the Kego Harbor Block Parties taking place on the third Friday of June, July, and August. So plenty of chances for everyone to showcase their works with Art Sale. And I recently spoke with Art Sale President Robin LaFrance to find out more. The president of Art Sale, Robin LaFrance, joining us right now on The Splash. Robin, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to have you with us, and really excited to be getting into this conversation because it means that spring and summer are coming very, very soon. I'm getting tired of winter. I'm sure a lot of people are as well. But what are you most looking forward to as the spring season is coming up and these opportunities for Art Sale starting to rise?
Well, we're looking for artists to fill the shows. We have 3 shows for the Block Party season, and they're the third Friday of June, July, and August. So if you're interested, you can apply to the Art Sale group email, which is artsale.kego@gmail.com, and I'll send you an application, and we can get started with there.
Awesome. And can you walk us through the process of applying to be a part of such an event like this? And what are some of the key steps and requirements for artists who want to showcase their work in this incredible way?
Well, it's free to all artists to show and sell their work, and number one, which is fantastic because where do you get that anymore? And everything has to be handmade by you. So we don't allow buying and reselling because it is an authentic art show. Even though it's small and casual, we still are a little bit juried, but it is a casual show. And once you're accepted to it, we're hoping to get a lot of local artists from the Lakes area, which we have a giant talent pool here. So we're hoping people show up for it. You have to have your own shelter and display and set up.
Well, you are certainly right. And it's great that you mentioned that you guys are prioritizing handmade works because those take, I would say, a lot more skill. And it's always great to see those on display because that really showcases the creativity of the Kego Harbor community. And are there any specific guidelines or restrictions for what can be sold at this event or the types of handmade works that you're looking for?
We pretty much accept all categories as long as it's family friendly, because we are a family event. So pottery, art, painting, sewing, it really doesn't matter as long as it's artistic and handmade by you.
That's absolutely right.
And it fits the criteria,
That's absolutely right. As long as it fits those requirements, there could be a wide variety of things on display for these events. So I'm sure artists are already.
We do get a wide variety of artwork, so we're looking forward to that.
How does Art Sale ensure that participating artists have a supportive and collaborative environment at events like these?
Well, Art Sale is a group run by artists for artists, so we are very inclusive and accommodating for artists. And I'm always there. If I, for some unforeseen reason, I can't be there, I'll send someone in my place. But you can always get a hold of me if you have an issue or anything, and I try and help everybody direct setup. And the Art Sale group is coming up on 9 years together now. I can't believe it. I joined in 2016 when it started as I moved to Kego. So I have an anniversary with Art Sale coming up and an anniversary of being a resident of Kego Harbor.
That's great. Happy anniversary, and it's great to hear of how much and how big Art Sale has grown over the years. For those just joining us right now on The Splash, we have the president of Art Sale, Robin LaFrance, joining us to talk about what Art Sale is looking for the upcoming spring and summer season as the Keego Harbor block parties are starting to begin their preparations very, very soon. And Art Sale emphasizes the camaraderie and exchange of ideas among their participants. How does this sense of community enhance the overall experience for both the artists and the attendees?
Well, it's been a big inspiration for me since I joined, and I think that's a big part of it. We inspire each other. We also share our work on the group page. We also try and create events that are friendly to artists and crafters. And also on the page, we try and share a lot of opportunities for artists and crafters, even if they're not created by the Art Sale group itself. So it's a great network to be involved in. If you are a working artist, you can stumble on a lot of opportunities.
It's a fantastic opportunity. You're absolutely right. And can you talk a little bit more about how Art Sale helps to foster these connections between local artists, supporters, and the wider Keego Harbor community?
Well, we try and Art Sale is not just for artists. We encourage fans of the art, so it brings a sense of culture to our community. And we'd love to incorporate the residents that aren't artists and crafters to support the arts and enjoy the arts.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are watching this right now, already getting ideas for what they're going to be showcasing at these events come spring and summer. Robin, one more quick question before I let you go. What role do social media, like the Art Sale Facebook page, website, all of that, what do they play in promoting these events and connecting with potential participants and attendees?
That's a fantastic question because I do most of the social media myself, and it's huge. It would, these days people don't read the newspaper. They don't really look at flyers and posters anymore locally. So we really have to use social media to our advantage. And I'm really involved in that, so I appreciate that question.
Well, we appreciate everything that you do for the Keego Harbor community. Robin, we thank you so much for your time and joining us on The Splash today.
Well, thank you, and stay warm.
Another great sign that spring is here and it's making its way to West Bloomfield, bringing all the warm weather and the fun opportunities for their residents along with this. A big thank you to Robin for taking the time with us and joining us on The Splash Live. Plenty of other great stuff to get into right after this quick break. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
So much is happening in your community. Join Jake, Tyler, and Kevin for local events and developments on The Splash Live, weekdays at 10 a.m. on CivicCenterTV.com, YouTube, and Facebook.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Hi, I'm Marcia Gershenson, and I'm one of the Oakland County Commissioners that's lucky enough to represent West Bloomfield. And I'd like to congratulate Civic Center TV on having 1 million viewers on YouTube. I mean, that's incredible. Your viewpoint and your authenticity is so valuable. So congratulations on 1 million views. I'm proud to be one in a million.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Shepp, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. West Bloomfield High School is giving their students an experience of a lifetime. Students will be visiting Rome, Pompeii, and Athens over a 7-day trip, including landmarks like the Parthenon, Trevi Fountain, and Acropolis planned for spring break of next year, 2026. Tara Ellert and Margaret Squires of the West Bloomfield High School told us all about it. Margaret Squires and Tara Ellert joining us right now. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thank
you for having us.
Absolutely. Happy to have you with us. And I got to be honest, I am really jealous hearing about this incredible trip that these students are going to be taking. What inspired the proposal of this international trip for the West Bloomfield High School students?
You know, that is such a great question. So Margaret Squires and I are pretty passionate about traveling internationally. When I was 19, I went to Michigan State University and I did a study abroad in Italy, Rome, and I was there for 6 weeks and it completely changed my life. And Margaret does a lot of traveling as well, and we want to provide that opportunity to our students here at the high school to be able to experience other cultures and impact their lives for the better.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And this sounds like such a great opportunity for all these students. And I would imagine for the teachers as well. Margaret, you are an art teacher. Tara, you are an English teacher. How does this trip connect with the subjects that both of you teach, and what educational value can you see in it for the students? Margaret, we'll start with you.
Sure. Well, there's just so much culture to reach into when we're visiting those locations and looking at all the sculptures and all the places we're going to visit, and so many things to connect with our curriculum artistically. And I'm a big photographer, and I want to guide students to take pictures, and it's just incredible. I can't wait.
Tara, same question. What educational value do you see in this for your students and from the subject that you teach?
So as an English teacher, you know, we read a lot of literature that is very much based in history. And going to Athens, I teach a lot of Greek mythology. So I'm super excited about learning more about the goddess Athena and sharing that with my students and being able to bring that history back into the classroom and giving that information to all of my students when I teach about the Odyssey.
Of course, I can only imagine walking through these cities and seeing all of these great, incredible things up close. That can have such an impact on all of these students. And of course, there's going to be a little bit of effort to make sure that this trip is possible. Can you elaborate on the fundraising efforts and how families can get involved in helping to make this trip possible and more accessible?
I can take that. So EF Tours, our partner for travel, has a page that students can set up, and it works much like a GoFundMe. There is no money taken by EF Tours, and students can have friends and family deposit money. That's one way. There is also a scholarship that they can apply to through EF Tours, and we will be doing fundraising here at the school and reaching out to various community businesses to hopefully garner some support there as well, and perhaps a dinner at Chipotle, that kind of thing, where we could have a percentage donated to our fundraising efforts.
It's awesome to hear. Lots of incredible ways to help make this trip possible. For those just joining us right now on The Splash, we have art teacher Margaret Squires and English teacher Tara Ellert joining us right now on The Splash from West Bloomfield High School, talking about the planned spring break 2026 trip to Rome, Athens, and Pompeii. It's going to be such an incredible opportunity for the students. Of course, one of the things to keep in mind that parents might be thinking, having an international trip like this, it's going to be a little expensive, I would imagine. What advice do you have for students and families considering signing up for this trip, but are a little concerned about how much it's going to cost?
So I think it's important to think about the value of traveling internationally and the impact that this can have on our students as teenagers and how much they can learn from this. And I also think, like Margaret was saying about, we do have a lot of fundraising opportunities and some ideas. And just with the trip being a year away and spring break of 2026, that gives everybody a lot of time to really fundraise, reach out to the community, and ask for some help to be able to afford this trip.
Great. Hopefully that can put a lot of people's worries and concerns about financial situations at ease for managing this trip. And you just spoke about how you hope that the kids take away a lot of things from this experience. Beyond the classroom, what do you hope students gain from this experience, both personally and academically?
I think just being in another country and seeing how people from other countries are very similar and very different, and just seeing firsthand those perspectives is immeasurable for students.
I can imagine.
There's also this great opportunity when we are in Greece. We will have a one-on-one instruction to learn a Greek dance, which is something that we are really looking forward to. And it'll be a great opportunity for students to be able to immerse themselves in these cultures and realize that there's so much more beyond our classrooms and these four walls that we're, always in.
That sounds like so much fun. I'm sure the kids can't wait for this trip. I know it's not till next year, but there's so much to look forward to. I'm going to let you guys go. One more quick question, though. With this incredible trip being planned for 2026, does this open the doors for bigger and even more incredible international trips for the years to come?
Absolutely, yes. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention that Wednesday is our deadline for an early enrollment discount. So if families really want to go, it's good for them to enroll by Wednesday.
All right, you heard it. Enroll by Wednesday. Margaret, Tara, thank you so much for joining us today on The Splash and for hearing about this incredible trip with the West Bloomfield High School.
Thank you for having us.
A fun trip in store for everyone with West Bloomfield High School. Big thank you to Tara and Margaret for stopping by and taking the time to talk with us and tell us all about it. But that is going to do it for us today here on The Splash Live. I want to say a big thank you to all of our guests for stopping by and for sharing the information they've got in their brains. Big thank you to everyone on our team behind the scenes helping the guests get ready. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.